Sending and receiving players on loan is an increasingly common practice in football. Big clubs such as Juventus and Barcelona, who have been in financial crisis recently, have often used this shortcut to attract top players without paying a transfer fee. Yes, it does work, but more often than not, fans fall in love with the loanee and then regret not seeing them in their favourite team's shirt again. So today, we're going to look at these examples and prove why you should never fall in love with a loan player. Starting with one of the most talented players to come through Man United's academy in the last 15 years, Jesse Lingard. Picture this, January 2021, West Ham United fans are in the midst of a remarkable season, but something is missing. A spark? A game changer? A bit of magic? Well, Christmas must have come a little late because Jesse Lingard has arrived. The forgotten man at Old Trafford, sent on loan to East London to reignite his career. At the age of 29, and having seemingly underachieved throughout his career, it was a must for Lingard to bring his A game to the London Stadium. And well, he did. From the very first game, Lingard lit up the pitch, scoring twice on his debut against Aston Villa. He danced through defences, dribbled with flair and scored a couple of jaw-dropping solo goals. In the space of a few months, he racked up 9 goals and 4 assists in all competitions, making him a must-have for any fantasy Premier League manager. Yes, fantasy players, we all remember him. Suddenly, Lingard wasn't just a player for West Ham, he was the heartbeat for the Hammers, the star of the show, a vital part of David Moyes' tactics. West Ham fans knew all along that the club had no buyout clause, but they still fell in love with one of the most skillful players to wear the claret and blue at the London Stadium. It was truly a match made in heaven. This is one of the classic examples of a loanee that everyone falls in love with, but how about this one? It's the 2003 to 2004 season, and Monaco, a club living in the shadow of Europe's giants, are on a seemingly impossible quest for Champions League glory. Enter Fernando Morientes, a striker on loan from Real Madrid, the club that had deemed him unnecessary. He arrived in Monaco not as a hero, but as a man with something to prove, and he proved it. Morientes became the talisman, scoring goal after goal, game after game, spearheading an underdog story that captured the imaginations of fans everywhere. He finished as the Champions League's top scorer with 9 goals in 12 games, playing with the hunger and fire of a man determined to prove his worth. But there is drama too. Champions League quarter-final, Real Madrid versus Monaco, Santiago Bernabeu. Against his parent club, Morientes does the unthinkable. He scores in front of Florentino Perez, not once, but twice in 2 legs to send Monaco to a historic final and eliminate the club that had sent him away. Monaco's magical run, fueled by Morientes' brilliance, came to an end in the final, but the message was clear. The loanee wasn't just buying time, he was rewriting his own destiny. Despite his efforts and incredible form, Morientes did not play for either of the 2 giants the following season after the Spaniard joined Liverpool in the winter of 2005. And guess what? We have another similar story, reminiscent of that of Fernando Morientes, the Colombian superstar, the boy who made his whole country sing his name during the 2014 World Cup, James Rodriguez. He was a global sensation who joined Real Madrid after the best tournament of his career. But less than 3 years later, after a series of disagreements with Zinedine Zidane's management and coaching staff, James was sent on loan to Bayern Munich. And just like Morientes, James did not disappoint in his quest to prove his worth. In his first season, he reminded the world of his talent, scoring 7 goals and assisting 11 in the Bundesliga, weaving through defences with elegance and precision and becoming the creative force Bayern desperately needed. But fate, with its sense of irony, had more in store. In 2018, Bayern faced Real Madrid in the semi-finals of the Champions League. With his future hanging in the balance, James stepped up against Los Blancos and delivered, scoring the decisive goal in the second leg and a poetic reminder of what Real Madrid had let go. Yes, they'd qualified for the final, and James made that memorable celebration, begging forgiveness at the Santiago Bernabeu, but it was more for the fans who missed the magician who had lit up Madrid with his superstar aura. Even if Bayern's quest ended there, James's impact was undeniable. He scored 15 goals and laid on 20 assists in all competitions during his 2-year loan spell and became a fan favourite in Munich. Next up is one of the most talented Serbian strikers of the last decade, Luka Jovic. The Serbian arrived at Eintracht Frankfurt on loan from Benfica in 2017. The 20-year-old was largely overlooked and underrated at the time. Few expected the Serbian to make an impact, but Jovic had other ideas. In Frankfurt, he found his rhythm and quickly became one of the most lethal finishers in Europe. His pace, power and accuracy lit up the Bundesliga, and in the 2018-19 season, Jovic scored a staggering 27 goals in all competitions, including 10 in the Europa League, as he led Frankfurt to a surprise semi-final appearance. Fans fell head over heels as Jovic delivered week after week, smashing records and mesmerising with his ruthless efficiency in front of goal. But just when it seemed Frankfurt had found their new hero, the reality set in. Jovic was a loanee, a borrowed gem whose heart belongs somewhere else. He returned to Benfica after 2 electrifying seasons, only to be snapped up by Real Madrid for a fee of €60 million, leaving Frankfurt fans dreaming of what might have been. Up next is a player who'd been the subject of some controversy, particularly amongst Barcelona fans, Joao Cancelo. The current Al Hilal player was greeted with huge anticipation when he arrived as a free agent from Man City last season. Barcelona fans thought they had finally hit the jackpot after the club's search for a quality fullback, and from Sergio Roberto to Joao Cancelo, while the difference was evident from his first touches in a Barca shirt. He started the season in inspiring fashion, scoring on his home debut against Betis, and then completing one of Barcelona's most memorable comebacks in La Liga with a goal and an assist against Celta. All in all, it's been a fascinating first half season for Cancelo, who was given even more opportunities to play after Alejandro Baldez's injury in January. That seemed to reassure Cancelo that he was on his way to a permanent move to the Camp Nou, but then followed a week that left the supporters in no doubt. He was ineffective and made a series of poor decisions against PSG and Real Madrid in April, conceding a penalty against the Parisians in the return leg that contributed to the team's elimination from the Champions League. So, now it's time for you to have your say. Could Cancelo join the group of players who have made fans fall in love with him? Let us know what you think below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. On the other hand, do you remember who was one of Cancelo's best colleagues in Barcelona? That's right, Andreas Christensen. He's always been a very composed and intelligent centre-back, but his time at Chelsea hasn't been easy, not at all. In 2015, Borussia Monchengladbach took a chance on him, and he was eager to prove himself away from the bright lights of Stamford Bridge. Almost immediately, however, Christensen became a revelation in Germany. Excellent under pressure and with a reading of the game well beyond his 19 years of age, he quickly established himself as the defensive rock that Gladbach needed, playing every minute of the 2016-17 Bundesliga season. An impressive feat for such a young player, especially when we're talking about a centre-half. Christensen's composure on the ball and ability to shut down the most tricky of opponents made him a fan favourite. He was instrumental in Gladbach's progress to the knockout stages of the Champions League and back-to-back top 4 finishes in the German top flight. The fans couldn't help but fall in love, seeing in him a future captain, a leader who could anchor their defence for years to come. But there was a catch. Chelsea had followed Christensen's development closely and were determined not to lose their gem. When his 2-year loan came to an end, despite Gladbach's desperate attempts to keep him, he returned to London, where he played for another 5 years and is now with Barcelona, hoping to make the most of his time under Hansi Flick. Napoli, Roma, Chelsea, Inter, Man United and Everton. These are just some of the teams the Belgian striker Romelu Lukaku has played for in the last 10 years. Yes, he's been fortunate to play for some of Europe's most prestigious clubs, but he'll never forget his loan spell in 2012 to 2013. Before the start of the season, West Bromwich Albion took a chance on a young, raw, 19-year-old on loan from Chelsea, eager to make his mark in the Premier League. From the moment he stepped onto the Hawthorns, Lukaku brought a different energy to West Brom. Power, pace, and an eye for goal made him an instant threat to any defence. He quickly became West Brom's go-to man, scoring 17 goals in 35 league appearances, including a memorable hat-trick against Manchester United in Sir Alex Ferguson's final game. Lukaku's electric performance helped West Brom finish 8th, their best ever Premier League finish. The fans were smitten by the young Belgian, but the romance was always bittersweet. Lukaku was only on loan and destined to return to Chelsea. When the season ended, so did West Brom's dreams of keeping their star man. Since then, many players have played for West Brom as the club have been promoted and relegated several times, but none have managed to reach the height of Romelu Lukaku. It was definitely a spell that every West Brom fan remembers with nostalgia. Which of the mentioned examples is the most bitter? And what other star loanees could you add to the list? Give your opinion in the comments section. Of course, if you enjoyed that one, give your support to the channel by watching some of our last uploads you see on your screen right now. Stay awesome and see you next time on the Blue Card channel.